Let's talk about Carlton and lack thereof. So what was your initial reaction when you watched that game?
Well, the sad part is it happens so often to them. That last year it happened 7 times where they were in great positions and lost. In round 1, round 0 against the Swans, they were up really strongly and they conceded 17 of 20 goals to finish that one. So it's sort of happening time and time again. Against Richmond, round 1 last year, that was one of the more dramatic.
And they almost lost to Richmond
this
again.
time around, exactly right. So Tom Lynch kicked 2-7. They probably lose that as well. So it's a pattern. I don't have the exact answers of why it continues to happen. I think it's a combination of the mental side for the players. It's some strategy. Michael Voss, opposition teams have a belief that with Carlton you're never out of it because they never ever put you away. So the opposition will be saying, "Hey, we're not out of this," because it happens time and time. So that's what I'd be doing if I was coaching against Michael Voss and his Carlton team.
43 points though.
Yeah,
ahead.
And Melbourne had to kick 14 goals in the second half to win when they'd hardly kicked one for the whole first half. So it's a horrible loss. You do put it onto the senior players as well, like Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, these types of players, Harry Mackay. Why can't they change the momentum? Your team, who you love, Jack, Geelong, I just thought the way they won on Thursday night they locked the ball in their forward 50 for, I reckon, 10 minutes, tackle after tackle after tackle, and they didn't let Adelaide get the ball out to score, whereas Carlton just never, ever do that.
Okay, so I'm asking you the same question that I did last week in relation to Essendon. Is it a coaching thing, therefore, or is it the players themselves?
Well, where the coach is always in trouble, you can't sack 40 players. It's but you can move on your coach. So I don't think there's many people in the industry who feel that Michael will be the coach of Carlton next year, and a loss like yesterday certainly doesn't help his cause. But I don't think clubs, you shouldn't be moving on your coach in round 3. You're committed to him. I just think it makes the season a write-off, in my opinion. I know David Teague got the job when they moved on a coach and he took over.
Yeah.
And they all got behind David Teague. But players get a bit of a honeymoon period for a few weeks, and it's still the same case. So I think they won't be sacking Michael Voss now.
What if they lost to North Melbourne?
As I said, at 1 win and 3 losses, I still don't think they'd move on Michael Voss this early. Like Brad Scott, the same. You don't move on a coach this early. So again, I don't expect Michael to coach next year, Jackie, but I think it's too early to move him on now.
Tom's on the line. You just mentioned Brad Scott. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how you going?
Good. You got a question for Lloyd?
Actually I'm at a loss, really. It's more of a comment of why Carlton supporters are whinging so much. They're getting at least a little bit of value for money when they go to watch half a game. If you're an Essendon supporter, you get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Why don't we swap coaches? Let's try that.
Would you prefer to have Essendon coached by Michael Voss, Tom?
Absolutely.
Voss is a great person, and I know the players have a great respect for him. He's a hard worker. But it can't be overlooked what goes on there and why they can't. I would, if I was the head of Carlton, I'd say to Michael, I don't think sitting on the bench is helping you. I think that what you're gaining by being close to your players, you're not getting that much out of it. I'd go and sit upstairs with the rest of your coaching team and work things out. So when you get 40 points up and the opposition kicks 1, then they kick 2, you should be, as a collective coaching group, be discussing how to change the fortunes of your team, whether it's making a move, whether it's slowing the game down. But I don't think Michael sitting on the bench is helping that.
So what is the theory behind that, and why has he always done that?
Well, I think the only reason, because you don't see the game as well down there. I know Chris Fagan's there and he's won premierships doing it, but has a more seasoned group. They have a more firepower, star power, and he's gotten away with it. Simon Goodwin used to do it. But the reasoning behind it is to be there with your players, settling them down, communicating with them, getting messages to them quickly. But I just think right now Michael needs to get up there from a strategy perspective with his other coaches. They've got Travis Boak down there. He can do that. He can be there for the players. So I think Michael should be up there from a strategy perspective.
What else should they be doing?
I think, their senior players, I think it's hard. They're one pace through the midfield, so they've tried to improve that. I think they go safe. So when you win, the great sides go, we're up by 40, let's win by 60 or 70. Carlton seem to go safe and possess the ball and try to hang on to a lead rather than to go big. I'll never forget speaking to Scott Pendlebury, when they were playing Brisbane in the grand final, they won in 23, and they went 3 points up with 3 minutes to go, and they expected the sign to come up red to say, slow this down, but the sign went up green, let's go again, and kick another one, which they did, and they went 9 points up. So that's the mindset that Craig McRae's given Collingwood. Let's go again and again and again, whereas Carlton seemed to put the handbrake on and ask for trouble with teams coming back.
A couple of texts coming in for you. Can you ask Lloydie how it feels as a player on the ground when a comeback like Melbourne's against Carlton occurs? What is the feeling? Is it helplessness or inevitability?
Oh, you do lose momentum, but what I love about the best sides is they have a way of, like Collingwood don't have the best list now. I think they're a 6 to 10 side, Collingwood, in my opinion, but their defence just stands up. And you've got Pendlebury. He's very rare, but he's like the traffic cop. And they can go into different tempos in a game to slow it down and know when to go quick, know to go slow. So it is on the senior players at Carlton. There isn't anybody out there, in my opinion, that I go, I'd love to run out beside him because he will be the conductor on the field.
So they've got a lack of leadership.
I think they have a lack of on-field leadership as well. So it's not all on the coach.
Okay, Scott, hello.
Hey, Jackie and Lloydie. Look, I don't think I'm a Richmond supporter, but I don't think there's any point in sacking coaches mid-season. Believe me, we did enough of it. The Tigers did through the 80s and 90s. But if you want to have a ruthless industry in the English Premier League, there's been 8 coaches or managers sacked this season already, and 5 of those within 50 days of them taking their position.
Yeah, I heard Ange Postecoglou during the week, Scott, and he said that he was sacked before the game even ended at Nottingham Forest, but he lost. I think he hadn't won a game in about 6 or 7. So it is ruthless in that industry. I'm not sure. I wouldn't want the AFL like that because there's so much money for these top clubs in the English Premier League. You're expected just to fire straight away. But in Adam Uze's case, for example, he's only won 7 games, lost 40 odd. But he's just got a team of babies, so it's got to take some time.
It's also like they kind of have a plan at Richmond. Do you feel like a lot like they're going, even though they're obviously not winning this season, but I think most Richmond supporters would say that they feel comfortable with where they're going and that they maybe overachieved even last year.
Yeah, he'll have to start winning games, but they've got injuries to their core senior players. But with Carlton, they did let go. They've let go some good players, so... TDK left, Tom de Koning couldn't match that, so that's unlucky. Jack Silvani left, can't do much about that. But they could have kept Curnow, but they decided, no, we'll let him go and we'll get picks in. So I did feel that Michael was up against it with a weakened squad than he had last year, but that's not to let him get away with the weekend. Those losses like the weekend shouldn't happen.
Who would you like to see moved on and what do they need?
Well, you can only move probably... they had a lot of change over the off-season, Jack, but they've got to make some hard calls. Well, I think what Melbourne have done is that they've moved on their coach and moved on players you never would have thought you'd let go. Cultural players. So they may need to make a call on even a guy like Patrick Cripps at the end of the year and say, do we... But I'm not sure what you get for Patrick Cripps now because of the age that he's at. But if he wants to move home to Western Australia... Would you be comfortable with that? I think it's getting to that point, yeah. I don't think they'd lose a heap. Like, Petrarca's a wonderful player in the right team, but I think he wasn't for Melbourne at that stage. Cripps still wants to be at Carlton, but I think the future is Walsh. The future is Jagger Smith and other players in that midfield, not so much. Because I don't think Cripps is a great defensive player. He's very good going one way, but I don't think he's a great defensive player, which also hurts them when the other team gets a run on.
You just dropped a little bomb on your way out.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens if they lose to North Melbourne. We'll be talking about this next week.
Yeah, we will. And I think North will win that game.
Let's talk about the first half compared to the second half. You and I were just talking off air. Is it something they do different? Do they set up different? Is it something the opposition does to them? Like, how can we start to narrow our focus on solutions?
Yeah, so, and I've spoken about this in the past, and some thought it's critical, but it's just fact that when Carlton's going well, they're winning contested possessions. The reason why that makes such a big difference in their game is they're able to play a territory-based game. They're able to play the ball in their half. They can set up defensively behind that. When they start to lose that contest, and you can kind of clump contest and clearance in together, they then have to play out of their back half. And for a year, for at least the last year or so, they've really struggled at that form of ball movement, to be able to get the ball off intercept in their back half and go the length of the field. And we saw that again on the weekend. After quarter time, Melbourne +5 in clearance and +3 in contested possession. But if you look at the detail of where they won their contested possessions, they were +7 in pre-clearance contested possession, which is basically beating Carlton in the coalface. And I did a deep dive before the start of the season on how true this theory is. And when Carlton wins contested possessions, they win about 70% of games. When good teams, so say Brisbane, Geelong and the Pies, when they win contested possession, they win 70 to 80% of games. So a pretty normal stat there. When those good sides lose contested possessions, their win rate only drops to 50 to 60%. Carlton's drops to 7%. So it highlights the vulnerability.
That wasn't 7-0. That was 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it highlights the importance of winning the contest for Carlton. And I highlighted a few of those reasons. And probably one of the bigger sort of stats that started to pop up this year that as I've been following and studying their game is their marks tend to drop off pretty dramatically. So maybe I might be in a minority here. I thought they tried to do, in the back half of the game, I thought they tried to do the method that was going to work for them. And that's when things aren't going well, territory's lost, they're in their back half, being able to build the ball up through kick mark, and everyone says, take more risks. It's not take more risks. The risk is open the ground up so that then you can use the ball in a very methodical nature. You look at the Matty Carroll goal in the last quarter, the pre-play of that is exactly what they need to do. Unfortunately, I think what happened on the weekend is they missed a lot of targets in the sort of third and fourth quarter, which spooked them a little bit. So I went away from the game probably thinking it's the same issues as what we've seen. I saw a willingness to try and adapt with methodology, but ultimately the result wasn't what the club or any of the supporters were looking for. And there's now a lot of anger that's built up because of the basis of the swing in the scoreline. So
the answer could be both. Is it on the attacking side of the ball, or is it on the defensive side of the ball? I know we've discussed contest and stoppage. That's when you're in a neutral situation. So is the issue coming from when they've got ball in hand, then they get hurt because they turn it over, or is it the fact that they can't turn it over? So we often hear defend with ball in hand. So it's actually sort of an attacking measure, but it's setting you up well defensively. And then there's the other way around. Well, can we set up better to win the ball back?
I think their intercept game is pretty reasonable. They've got some, Weeders is a superstar down there, and their back line is built off pretty good intercept players. I'm probably of the belief of it's their ball movement that can protect their defence. Well, one, from a skill-based point of view, being able to hit those targets and be able to progress the ball. Like I look at the best team in the competition at it is Brisbane. They take a mark, they move the ball with speed, but almost risk-free to get the ball in the half. Once you can get the ball in the half, that means you can start to set in defensively behind that. So I'm probably in more of that camp. To do that, though, can have risk if you do turn the ball over. So you're asking the team to really open up the ground, to spread the ground, and what I mean by that is your forwards are almost back inside 50. Your wingers are painting the fences. So there's heaps of space that requires a lot of work rate to be able to work your way through that. But that's the method that works in today's footy. So then you can get the ball in your forward half, start to play some territory yourself, and then when you're losing contests, at least you're losing it in your forward half, and you can play with a defensive structure behind that.
You mentioned work rate, and it's transition running, and often people will go, well, transition running, you got to get back and help out your team. But transition running goes, sideways as well, because you got to get out, as you said, paint the fences, you got to push forward where need be. Do they actually have the cattle to do that? I know they want to play a new way and they're trying to move to a new way, but they aren't quite full with players that can do what we're talking about. So if they keep giving up those leads, are they better to just pack the game up and make a contest which will grind away, which won't be successful in the long run, but it'll probably get them a few more wins? Or are they better off just going a little bit freer and easier to start games, which they might get a better score, but actually help them in the long run?
I think you've got to go with where the trend's going in the game. From a running point of view, like I've been at the footy club for a long period of time. They've got the best running profile that they've had across my whole time there. I think in my last year, from just a 2K time trial point of view, I think I ran like a 6.17 and came like 20th. So like there's capacity within the group. And I listened to Voss's press conference after the game, and someone asked that question, whether there's capacity, and he said this was the best running team they'd put out there. I don't think it's a capacity point of view. I think it's understanding how to do it. There's obviously some teams are better at this mode of ball movement. There's a lot of IQ and footy smarts in making space for each other. I think that learning that is just being a bit more difficult than it probably anticipated. And there's a skill in being able to coach it in behind. So they're clearly working at it. I saw a willingness to try and do it on the weekend, and which is probably why I'm a little bit less stressed about the loss on the weekend. And I know that's probably a strange thing to say, but I thought there was a willingness to try and do what they're trying to do, which will hold them in better stead moving forward.
He didn't quite say it so directly, but I'm going to paraphrase. It did come across that there was an admission that was attitude, as far as it is starting to eat at the players. Could that be possible?
Well, I think stress and pressure does huge things, and having been at a football club that has been through a few of these different situations when the coach is under the pump, they're never easy because it takes your focus away from what's important. And whether it's fully intentional or not, it's like they would have rocked up. I think today was the day off, but they would have rocked up this morning with cameras in their face. Whether they like it or not, they know heat's on, and that for some people will build performance. It'll make it better. For others, that is just going to add another layer of stress in behind an already stressed mind. So impacts kicking, skill-based stuff. And when I saw a lot of drop marks, basic skill, in my mind, I was like, I feel like they're getting tight here. Yeah. And that's just the reality of, especially at a big club like Carlton, when the heat comes, it's all over you. And they're in that now, which is so unfortunate.
How do they change it? How do they change it now? Like they know their problem.
Well, you have to simplify everything you're doing. That's because now there's added information in players' heads that you can't get out. It is what it is. So trying to simplify the game, I think, having done this a few times, going back to the defensive side of the game, being able to turn the ball over and then work off that, I think is a great step forward. It's probably part of what I said about Essendon last week. Is like go back to what the controllable stuff when you don't have the pill. That's the smartest stuff to do. But ultimately, they just got to keep working at it. Like, don't lose sight of what's important because there's heat on. Because I think with the method that they played, and they've trained it all pre-season, I do think it will work if they can get it going. A contest-based game that when things aren't going well, you play a neutralised game style to be able to get you through those periods of times of momentum. I think it'll work, but there's got to be a willingness to be able to put in the work to do it, and I think that's the mode they're in right now.